Welcome back. With you right now from MemorialCare Saddleback Medical Center is Dr. Lance Montgomery, and you are an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes.
Right? And today, well, we're going to talk about joint pain. So welcome. Nice to have you here today.
Well, thanks. It's so nice to be here, Ken.
I was looking over your background when we were talking, and you've been at UCI, up at Stanford University, several things, and even you were in New England.
Yes.
Wow.
I trained here in medical school at UC Irvine. Then I did 5 years of orthopedic residency at Stanford. Then I did another extra year of joint replacement surgery in Boston, working with some of the pioneers of joint replacement. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Boston's a neat city anyway.
yeah, I got to go there one day. That's interesting. You went from one coast to the other for a while, and then back here.
Yes.
Very interesting.
We grew up here, and so my wife said, I'm not going to live anywhere except Orange County, so we had to make our way back.
So, you know, joint problems, it can be anywhere from minor, from something that, you know, we were talking beforehand, maybe you work out or something and got a little bit here and there. That's probably hits us all.
Yes, well, people who live here in California love the California lifestyle. You know, they're active, they play golf, they play tennis, they go for power walking, and it's very common for them to develop pain in the joints.
Right.
And so when they get bad enough and they can't do the things they love, they can't golf, they can't play tennis, then they come to see me. And then we try and figure out what's going on and how to fix it.
What are some of the causes? Is it with the bone joints itself, tendons, muscle?
Right, it's very common, first of all, to have injuries. You know, you'll swing the club and you'll twist the knee and you'll feel a pop and suddenly it's painful and it swells up, or tennis, or they'll have an overuse injury when they hike too much, and the knee joint can either be injured acutely or subacutely. Acute injuries could be anything from a ligament tear or a meniscus tear in the knee, or just overuse from chronic stress, like if they're hiking too much, it just starts getting sore. So there's a lot of reasons for joint pain, and the treatment, of course, is different for each one.
Okay, so obviously something that it might just last a week or a couple weeks, but then when it becomes chronic, that's when you step in.
Right, most of the time when they have some aches and pains in the joint, they'll try Tylenol or ibuprofen or Aleve, Advil, one of those things, and they usually get better. Most of the time it gets better after a few days.
Okay.
If it goes longer than a week or so, or they start developing popping or recurrent swelling in the knee, that's something to be examined. Sometimes with shoulder injuries, golf, tennis, things like that can injure the shoulder too, and if that goes away, fine. But if it doesn't and they start getting weakness and they can't lift the arm, that's something that's really critical and they need to get checked.
Okay, so as far as deciding to come to see someone like yourself, they make that determination probably with their primary doctor or whoever it might be, and they figure out that you got to take the next step.
Right. Yeah. Usually, if there's a problem and it doesn't go away within a few days, they'll call their family doctor or primary care physician, and if he can't figure it out, he'll send them straight over to my office, and we'll take over from there.
Okay. As far as taking care of that, obviously you're going to see if this something can be done with medication or much more.
Right. First, when they come to see me, the first thing we do is take a history. Find out what it was that caused the pain, what it's like. Is it sharp? Is it dull? Is it constant, or just at night, or just in the daytime? So we'll figure out what it is that's bothering them. Then we'll examine the knee, for example, and find out where it's coming from. If it hurts here or there, things can point to what type of injury it is. And then from there, sometimes we'll get an x-ray and see what the bone looks like. In orthopedic surgery, we're dealing with bones all the time, and so the x-rays can tell us a lot of information that we really can't see with our eyes. It shows us arthritis, it shows us the joint space, it shows bone spurs and things like that. So, so after an examination and x-rays, then we can help them decide what to do for it. There are generally several things that we can do. Easy things like prescription strength anti-inflammatory pills, or glucosamine, for example. Fish oil, turmeric seems to be something that reduces inflammation. And then sometimes we'll do a cortisone shot. That helps. When the pills don't help, the cortisone may help. Sometimes there's a lubricating injection that we do for knees. There's several different companies that make it, but we call it viscosupplementation. It's just an injection that goes into the joint and makes it more slippery, and that seems to help too. So there's a lot of different treatments before we end up doing surgery.
Okay, and of course, when you do the surgery, it could wind up being a complete replacement.
Right. Depending on what the problem is, if it's, for an example, a meniscus tear in the knee, an arthroscopic operation is a very simple way to treat that. We go in through little poke holes, and we have instruments that can just trim out the tear, and that usually makes it almost as good as new. But when the joint's too bad and there's too much arthritis, it's bone on bone, for example, then that's kind of an end-stage arthritic condition where nothing's going to help other than a knee replacement or a shoulder replacement or a hip replacement. Cartilage is on the end of the bone, and usually it's like snow on a fresh hill. But as the sun comes out, that snow starts to melt, and pretty soon you see bare bone there, and that's a bad condition that is very painful and hard to get rid of other than doing the joint replacement. But these days, joint replacements are excellent. They're not as bad as they used to be years ago. We have better pain control, we have better methods, better instrumentation, better prostheses, and by and large, most patients feel so much better after their joint replacement that they wish they had had it a lot sooner because they see how good it feels. They can get back to golfing, tennis, all the favorite sports that they like to do.
Now, what are some of the causes here? You mentioned arthritis. What about like osteoporosis, those kinds of things?
Right, yeah, osteoporosis contributes to it, and these days, you know, people have less osteoporosis than they used to. We have Fosamax and other medications that kind of strengthen the bone. Most people here in California are very active, and one of the best things to avoid osteoporosis is just staying active with weight-bearing activities. But like I said, injuries, you know, falling off a ladder, taking a bad swing, those all can contribute to damage to the joint. Once it's damaged, it's like a slow, progressive deterioration until they get arthritis. Another thing is rheumatoid arthritis. That's a real unfortunate disease. Rheumatoid is different than the other types of arthritis, and it's like the body reacting to itself. It's a way that the body thinks it's doing some good, but it's actually doing some bad. It melts the cartilage away until there's no cartilage in the knee, and there are various medications that help slow that down, but the ultimate result is they just don't have any cartilage left in the knee or the shoulder, and then they need the joint replacement. But again, when they see how good it feels afterwards, they're wishing that they had that joint replacement a long time sooner. Okay,
when someone like you said gets an injury, again, golfing, whatever it might be, and you know, okay, here's the exact problem. This is why this happened. Probably pretty easy to figure out. Is that something, you know, you mentioned, can you get like temporary arthritis or bursitis or something like that?
You can.
Or does it have to be,
Right, there's a lot of other things that cause joint pain other than arthritis. Very common around the knee or the shoulder to get tendonitis. Rotator cuff tendonitis in the shoulder, for example, is very common. And you know, when someone's doing a lot of activities with their arm, tennis, painting the ceiling, things like that, you can get some tendonitis in the shoulder, or with various activities you can get a tendonitis in the knee joint. Jumping, for example, gives you jumper's knee, which is a tendonitis of the patella tendon. And so there's a lot of other causes of joint discomfort. And again, we can figure that out quite easily with a history and an examination, and sometimes x-rays.
Now, as far as getting a joint replaced, what's the recovery time? Let's, you know, not maybe, let's say it's a knee or a hip or something like that. I know that there's so much advancements in there right now that people are often up fairly short amount of time.
Yeah, let's take a knee, for example. When a patient has terrible arthritis and they need a knee replacement, we go ahead and start the process. We get permission, we set the date. They come in, and for example, if they do the operation in the morning, they will get the operation in the morning, they'll have pain medication, they'll get up immediately with physical therapy later that afternoon. They'll walk around, and a lot of patients go home the same day. So later that day, on the same day of surgery, they'll be going home, then they get home therapy. The therapist will come to the house, they get a home nurse to come out and help them out. And if they don't go home the same day, it's usually one night in the hospital and they go home. We have something we call multimodal pain management, which is another way that we have improved the joint replacement process recently. And that allows us to treat the joint with many different types of pain medication. Yeah. There's blocks, nerve blocks like you get at the dentist's office that kind of numbs it up. There are various medications to reduce inflammation, to reduce pain, to reduce anxiety, and things like that. They all work together to make the experience much better than it used to be.
Wow.
You're not screaming in pain like you used to 10 years ago.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
But it's a really great advancement, and things are going to get better and better in the future. We're excited about that. Sometimes we've heard about robot surgery, and that's the next thing coming up.
Yeah, we're not trying to put you out of business.
No, I'm still in control of the robot.
Okay, all right. If you'd like to find out more information, you can go online to memorialcare.org/SB joint replacement. And it's been a pleasure talking.
You too.
The advancements are wonderful.
Thanks, Ken. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
We'll be right back.